Hi, we're reading our notes from the notes table and we're creating labels to put them on the screen, but they're not in the right place. And I know just from playing around with this that we want, on our view notes screen, we want it to line up with this button, which is at Y position 50, and the button's at X position 240. So we'll put the note way over here at like X position 20. We'll give it a height of 20 and we'll give it a Y position of 50. So we can do that by here, after we create the label for the note, we can then set the position. We're just using this guy in here. Set position somewhere down here. This guy right here. So set position, we're going to get the ID of the screen element we want to set the position of. We're going to tell it what X position we want it to be at, what Y position we want it to be at, and then how wide. And there's another hidden parameter there, which is how tall, how high. So we want to set the position of the note label, and we want to set it at X equals 20, and we want to set it at Y equals 50, and we want it to be, we can let it be about 220 pixels wide, and we want it to be 20 pixels tall. So that's going to set the positions of our labels. But notice we have 3 labels. And if we're setting them at each at the same position, they're going to be right on top of each other. We don't want them right on, literally right on top of each other. They'll all be right here. But we want to change the Y position each time. So let's create a Y position variable and let's change it each time. And we'll say each time through the loop, we'll say the Y position, we want it to start at 50. So, because that's where the first note. So we want the Y position to equal 50, but then we want it to change each time through the loop. So we could do this little trick. We can add, each time through the loop, we can add I times 30, because we want to add 30 each time through the loop. And so I starts at 0, and it's going to go from 0 to 1 to 2. So the Y position is going to be 50 plus 0 times 30, so that's just 50. Then it's going to be 50 plus 1 times 30, that's 80. Then it's going to 50 plus 2 times 30, that's 60 plus 50, that's 110. So it's going to increase by 30 each time I increases by 1. And then when we set the position, instead of setting it at the Y position of 50 each time, we're going to set it at the value of the Y pos variable, which we just explained changes each time through the loop. So now our labels, instead of being in random spots, should be positioned nicely down this line. So let's see if it worked. We run it, view my notes, and yes, we see all our notes. Of course, we don't see the buttons. So we want to do this. We want to set properties. So each of those buttons over there is hidden. So we want to set the property of the button. We need the ID of the button, and we want to set the hidden property to false. So we need another variable here. We need button ID, and let's look at the design screen, and let's look at what are those buttons called. So the view notes screen, so this first one is note button 0, note button 1, note button 2. See a pattern? So the button ID, we're going to change each time too. And the button ID equals note button plus I. So the first time through, it's note button 0. And look, that's going to be talking about this button, note button 0. The second time through the loop, I increases to 1, and so it's going to be note button 1. So our button ID, note button 0, then note button 1, should be able to communicate with this screen element because we're giving it the same ID. Let's see if it works. So if we set the property of the button ID, which changes each time, and we want to set this property, the hidden property, we want to set that to false, meaning right now the hidden property is true, the buttons are hidden. Now we want to set it to false each time through the loop. Not all 10 of them, but just the 3 that we need. And so this for loop should loop through 3 times and set the hidden property of the correct button to false, meaning that it'll show the button. So let's try it. View my notes, and there we go. We got our note title, and we're showing just the 3 buttons we want.